Hi guys, so today we're going to look at two poems and we're going to actually look for something called a metaphor. And I just want to make sure that you have your cheat sheet opened up from your ELA notebook that gives the definitions of figurative language. So if you see on your cheat sheet, you'll see that a metaphor is when we compare two unlike things. Metaphors are a lot harder to find because there's no keywords like or as, with a simile. So you really have to keep your eyes open and look for those comparisons that authors give us. But a lot of times when you can find a metaphor, it really helps you to understand what the author is trying to tell you. And sometimes they can be pretty cool. So here we go. The first poem we're going to look at is called A Modern Dragon by Rowena Baston Bennett. So I look at that title and I just want to make sure everyone knows that modern means current or happening right now. A train is a dragon that roars through the dark. He wriggles his tail as he sends up a spark. He pierces the night with his one yellow eye, and all the earth trembles when he rushes by. So this is just one stanza, and it has 4 lines. So we're going to look at each line and see if we can find some metaphors. The first line, it says right there, a train is a dragon that roars through the dark. So I know that a train and a dragon are being compared to each other. I see the word is. So a train and a dragon. So right here is my metaphor. And I also just want to write train equals dragon. And then the author gives us lots of reasons why a train is a dragon. So right here, the dragon roars through the dark, just like a train roars through the dark. A train doesn't really roar, but a train makes a really loud sound like a roar. He wriggles his tail as he sends up a spark. A train doesn't have a tail to wriggle, but sometimes when you watch a train, the very end of it, it looks like it's shaking a little bit from side to side. And I know that dragons send up sparks because they blow fire out of their mouth. And a train doesn't necessarily blow fire out of its mouth, but when a train goes really fast, you see some sparks or fire coming out. He pierces the night with his one yellow eye. So pierces, that's kind of a tricky word. It's kind of like breaking through the night when something's really dark and you can just see one light on the front of the train, or the dragon apparently just has one yellow eye. So it's kind of comparing the light at the front of a train to the eye of the dragon. And then the final line of this one stanza poem, and all the earth trembles when he rushes by. So that's really true. Trembles means shakes, if you don't know what that means, but it's really true that when a train goes by, if you're standing kind of close to it, that you can feel the ground shaking. And I've never been around a dragon, but I'm assuming since it's so big that the ground would shake if the dragon went by. Okay, so the train is equal to a dragon for lots of different reasons right here, and I think that that was a great comparison that the author made, that a train is just like a dragon. All right, so we're going to look at one more poem together, and then I'm going to have you look at one on your own. This poem is called Fog by Carl Sandburg. Also, it's just one stanza. The fog comes on little cat feet. It sits looking over harbor and city on silent haunches and then moves on. So what I'm looking for are, what are the two things that are being compared? It says the fog comes on little cat feet. So I think that the fog, especially since the title of the poem is Fog, I think that fog is being compared to a cat, but I'm not really sure why, so I need to look at the lines again and kind of see if I can figure out why fog and a cat are being compared. The fog comes on little cat feet. It sits looking. So I'm picturing a cat, and I know that a cat a lot of times will just sit and kind of observe what's going on. And a lot of times too, a cat will be high up, maybe on a counter or on a couch or something. But what does that have to do with fog? Over harbor and city. So the fog is kind of over the city. I'm a really horrible drawer, just so everyone knows. So here's the fog, and the fog is sort of like a cat looking over what's happening. On silent haunches, and then moves on. And that's very true. Fog comes in the morning, right? Fog comes in the morning and then it goes away usually. And a cat's kind of like that. It's very quiet or silent. It sits and it looks, and then it quietly moves to the next spot. So if you think about this, the author made a good idea to compare fog to a cat, because it is very quiet. It's not a loud kind of weather or anything like that. And it comes, watches, and then it moves on. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a challenge. Let's say Carl Sandburg wrote another poem about a different type of weather, like a hurricane. What do you think Carl Sandburg could compare hurricanes to? What kind of animal? So, because I know that hurricanes are really loud and it's very windy and very chaotic. So try to think, for me, try to think of an animal that's also really loud and chaotic. All right, so now once we're done, you write down your animal that you can compare a hurricane to, and then I want you to look at this poem at the very tippity top, Steam Shovel by Charles Malam. I love this poem, okay? Just do me a favor, write down on the side, what are the two things that are being compared? And look for all the clues. This one is a lot like the other two poems where it gives clues about why that was a good comparison. And then you can talk about it with your teacher tomorrow. Okay? Have a great night.